Yo, what's happening, guys? Doing good? So, today I want to talk about something that's really simple, super short, super quick, hopefully helpful to you guys, is the difference between thinking of a state and thinking from a state. So, when you think from a state, what you're doing is essentially you think of thoughts, right? And what happens a lot of times is when you want something, especially when you have listened to Abraham Hicks or you've listened to some of these other individuals who talk about thinking, is you go to the wish fulfilled and you start thinking like you have it, right? Now, what can happen is you think the thoughts are the cause of changing the reality. And to some extent they are, right? But it's not completely accurate because what the real engine is behind the manifestation is the state of consciousness. So when you have a state of consciousness, what it means is that that state of consciousness automatically expresses itself. So when you are something, you naturally express it, meaning that if you are naturally rich, you live in an abundant reality. If you are naturally poor, right? If you have an impoverished state of consciousness, you see like a lottery winner, right? They get the physical money, but then they lose it because their state of consciousness isn't of abundance, right? So what you want to focus on more so is the feeling and the frequency of holding that dominant. And it takes a little bit of discipline to get used to because the whole concept of faith is loyalty to an unseen reality. And when you start to operate this way, you realize how little faith you have, right? Because if you start to feel rich, but then you immediately have a message from a bill collector and you go back to your old state, you'll see how quickly you abandon the loyalty to the unseen state to go back to whatever state is dominant in your life, right? And that doesn't mean all states are bad. It just means that dominant states have momentum and they're easy to fall into. Kind of like if you've been driving and you have grooves, you'll slide into the grooves. It's a little more effort initially to kind of build your own pathway. So when you look at manifesting something, right, it's the art of being human beings, right? Humans do because they are, right? Humans are doing what they are being. So if you are a sculptor, you sculpt. If you are a healthy person, you express health. If you're a sick person, you express sickness. So understanding the root cause of all causation is understanding the state in which you are in. And a state is an emotional grid. An emotional grid is a generalized feeling of identification with something. So you want to really work at that emotional level, and it seems like it's not going to do anything because your logical mind will come in and be like, what the fuck am I doing emotional work for? I need cash in my bank account right now, right? But the only reason that thought, I need cash in my bank account right now, was attracted to you is because of the state of consciousness, right? And this isn't to be ambiguous. This isn't to be non-clear. This is to be exactly, precisely clear on how to create reality. You want to understand that thought was attracted like a magnet to a state of consciousness, which is really good because number one, that thought is just a thought, right? And we live in a holographic matrix. It's all a fucking video game. Cool. So you don't need to get worried about it. Second thing is, if that thought was attracted, you can change the attraction point and you can start attracting thoughts that you want, right? And then that's just underdeveloped muscle, is changing that attraction point. So when you are changing your emotional bandwidth to be in alignment with your wish fulfilled, right? So you want $1 million, you feel like a millionaire. And what happens is when you adopt that new feeling, emotional state, you'll have momentum from the old state. So that's where the discipline comes in of being able to hold an emotional state in opposition to basically your entire external world, right? That's why most people don't change, because they're linked on the external world for how to feel. So you have to de-link your emotions from the external world and understand that the whole external world is really caused through your state. So if you can control your state indiscriminate of what's going on outside of you, now you can control the physical world. So understanding that the emotional bandwidth and the feeling state fills in an emotional grid, which will then attract details to it, is really important, because now you have your maximum point of leverage. You have your ability to put your consciousness on a base state of, just say you have a broken leg or a fucked up something, right? detraining your brain to go to a state of generalized health and not hyper focus in on the problem is a skill, right? It's because when this is critical emergency, bad time, bad time, bad time, it is a lot of energy that's easy to get sucked into. But the way that you heal that is, first of all, you retract your consciousness from it, right? You let it be what it is, and you put your awareness on generalized health. Because once you make your dominant state generalized, really good feeling health, that manifestation is no longer compatible and has to fall to the wayside, right? So whenever you engage with something unwanted, what you do is you just give it a bunch of energy and it falls up. So instead of doing that, suffocate it with a generalized type of beingness that is of the generalized state that you want, knowing that that will fill in a grid, knowing that that is attractive to through law of attraction, similar properties. So when you feel that generalized health, it's not that you're just going to be in this state of generalized health. What's going to happen is, just like when you had that poverty or that hurt consciousness where thoughts are getting attracted to it all the time, that you need to address it, that generalized state of well-being will have thoughts starting to attract to that. And then once that becomes dominant, this will just kind of dissipate. And then from here, now you're in a bigger power position to become more discriminate and more accurate with what you want to do, because now you're in a state of generalized health. You're feeling healthy. You're feeling great. Now that that's dominant, now you can engage with your knee and be like, all right, now my knee's feeling pretty good. I can see how my knee can get better. I know that my knee's getting healed. I know that this is getting good. But if you're depowered and overextended and hyper-focused on a problem, you don't have the leverage that you would have if you pull back and basically build out that generalized emotional state from which you can really get specific with. So I hope this helps. Stuff in the description if you guys want coaching or anything like that. Other than that, leave questions in the comments. I'm happy to make videos about them. Cheers. Go kill it.